The Witch's Brew. Within the witch's brew was a vision of a black-caped man she once knew. His hood was set up over his face to hide the insidious wickedness he tried to erase. The blood still dripped from his hands as he held a circular object of glowing light from an hourglass stand. He stood up over an altar with fear that others in the simple village would hear the blood-curdling scream that carried throughout the air. "What say ye so, O black-robed priest? Have you not met your hefty feast? Thine eyes are blue, but changed to black, from whence you turn into a bat. A fatal cut beneath the throat, the eyes and cheeks did seem to bloat. And you, my fellow wicked one, did all of this beneath the sun. So hard to breathe, you walk, then limp. The ground feels unsteady, and there is a pain in your hip. Though young, not old, your face aged hard. The lines of pain were retained in every line. Your head is stooped low, so no one else will know that you are the one who was Van Gogh. A snip of the air you did not hear, because the pain released all the tears. The insane rumbling of your ears did siren loud the voices that were impaired. Struck from below, they still did know that you had defiled them at every blow. A wickedness that none could match, then others came to learn your craft. Dark as evil, yet pure as snow, beneath you were the black wings of an angel glow. The beauty tarnished and forever hid, the molten lava of sin did singe. Hark now, you fatal warrior of old, return to us the heartfelt woe, but of truth see this the light, no longer will this battle be set right. It is our time to end it all. Let loose the bonds of hatred now. Sink not into the endless bliss of time crossed by enemies that you once missed. The tryst of faith, the learned know, is gone of late when you put down your bow. Set free the robin in blackened cape. You should not waver or hesitate. Set free the captives, pour out the learned. Forgive the lustful, for they were your burden. Sink deep within your heart, so pure to find the jewel where all can cure, and release it free within the air. The soil, the land, the endless stream will carry it to great Sheol's ring, the ring of death, the hearth of hell, the desolate place for all who may rebel. No temptation has been greater than your sweet serpents lie, than to see the endless wreckage of all humankind. At the plow, the ox, the burdened beast, has nowhere to reside. Many toil and plow, and then become the feast of the wickedness of their own brow. The witch stepped back and forced to see something else. The learned wise could never tell that the spirit of strength had moved her from her vision. Then in a flash she was in the pot with him. Oh, take not my soul, thou learned vision. I will render myself innocent by freeing my thoughts within them. Stir not the pot, though it may stick. The wickedness within is so thick. I fright, I sigh, I bid farewell. Let thou the cauldron mix itself. The wise one said, unleash the wickedness on your own soul. You must be a witness to this boiling pot, or else you will have a spell and drop. Just then she dropped her wooden spoon and fell to the floor while the druid was in her room. She stopped in peace and listened while the learned one said, fear not the wickedness in your head, but rather if there be any good in your heart instead. Lift high to angels here, they do abode. See if the golden cord has been severed from your own. At that very moment, a white feather did drop. It landed safely upon her eyes, and the Druid removed himself from the pot and flew up into the sky. She watched his garment wave from black to white. Within him loosed the wicked rope that he bound to her in his controlling mind. He flew so free, the way he wanted to be, no longer bound to expel evil for many to see. He resonated there by a door that didn't quite open when he was there before. A deception? I question in my mind. Does he try to deceive the angels of light? Surely they know that he has been here before. Can't they see the wickedness he performs on earth's hardened floor? A crack of light revealed in a stream the consciousness of the Druid did careen. He screamed in fright with all his might. The earth did shake and gave up his being that night. And there he lay, outside of heaven's door, and then the Legion of Good came to see him once more. Then spoke the witch to herself in a whisper. Was he forgiven? Or was he to pay? Do we all need to end this way? If he is wicked, then surely I am free. For what fatal thing have I done in the light of thee? But no, my judgment had not forgiven me, and I set my sight to strain and see. The Master, the King, the everything, did judge fair and good, and let him free. For it was not him who made me do what I do. It was me who rebelled against the goodness too. Then she lifted herself from off the floor. The vision was gone, and so was the door. The cauldron turned to soup, and a large morsel of bread. She began her new life as a giver instead. Okay, so this is the second part of the Druid. I don't think the stories can be separated. It's both of them go together, because now you're seeing the Druid is then observed by the witch. In this case, the witch was a recollection of my life, and it sounded like whether it was Brittany or somewhere in France, close to England, and this connection to this Druid. And Jennifer saw me whether I was married to him or connected to him, and then I began to see all the things that he did. I was convinced that I began to judge him, and so the witch starts talking about how she has this cauldron, and before you know it, he's actually in her cauldron looking at her. And I actually drew that picture in the book of him as he's working through his conscience. She's judging him, now she's observing him. And so it's a judgment. It's, trying to figure out, what, he's evil, I'm passing judgment on him, and so forth. And then he shows up, and now she's afraid. I want you out of my cauldron. I don't want you there anymore. And then she had to observe. She got to witness, because being a seer, you get to see the beyond the veil experience. And she actually saw him going up into this place, and whether what his experience, and whether he was essentially allowed into these pearly gates or the entrance into the afterlife. And so she starts to judge all of that, and then in the process she begins to soul search and see that she wasn't innocent either. And so for that purpose, she's allowed to see, to learn for herself that it's not so much about him, but about herself and her experience with that, and learning not to be in that place of judgment, but rather to see that she had things that she needed to learn herself. There's also this interplay of fallen angels, returning back to where they belong. In the end, she learns. In that quick moment, we can learn so many things about ourselves as you start to scan, all the different things that really stand out that would be a problem. Because even though the people say it's a dark thing when you look past the veil, sometimes it can be, it brings things closer to you in a sense of a realization of the truth of what is, what you're actually experiencing, and what will actually happen in the afterlife. It's a sense of the powers of the higher beings, and those that are there to welcome or not welcome you in. It's sort of, you have a sense of what is allowed, what isn't allowed, and that awareness becomes even more certain. And so you grow, you learn, and then you also recognize that there has to be accountability for your own experience. And what others do around you is something that they are going to have to sort out. Even if they had done it against you, it's something that you and them have to sort out. But ultimately, in this story, we just learn a lot about the soul passage in those that have done something wrong. But had they have not been apologized for the way that they had behaved, I think the story would have ended differently. And I know that Poe had me, share this story so you can understand. Those that I talk about in Jennifer's regression, how there are those that put on a facade and act like they're more perfect and they've never committed any crimes and that they're just and they deserve certain things. And I always think that those are the ones that are in more trouble, in my opinion, or at least those are the ones I don't care to be around as much. So, with that said, keeping our feet on the ground, being real about ourselves, being honest, and moving forward. I think everyone's growing, and we're taking that next step. People talk about ascension. This is the path. It's not the level of crime that you committed in the past. It's whether or not you're willing to admit and be real about what you did is what's going to make the difference. So thank you for listening. And as I said, I know that this may not be part of your belief system, or it may be, I don't know. But bringing information in from another perspective.